Okay, folks, I'm going to show you a slideshow. These are JPEG files. And this is done with the Canon RF, or I should say R5II with the RF 100 to 500 millimeter. I think it's a 4.5 to 7.1. Excellent lens. Good sharp detail. The reason what I was doing was I redid a video why I put just JPEG on YouTube, is that it's quicker to load and you're not waiting for the raw files to load. So this is just to show how the pictures look, and they look pretty darn good. But the main reason is Simon, the ordinary filmmaker from Toronto, Canada, was having problems with his camera and the latest firmware update from Canon with his R5II 1.0.3. He had also the latest firmware for the lens, 1.1.0, I believe. But anyway, I got the firmware version for the camera 1.0.2, which is one lower than him. I always wait to see if there's any bugs with the firmware update. And some people were complaining that they thought the autofocusing was slower. So I asked a couple of questions on them in the comment section, and then I decided to do this video. So I wanted to see my, for myself to see how sharp and clear it. I had no problem focusing. So I put it on 3, and it starts focusing when you hit the shutter release button. I've noticed that if you have it on number 1, it kind of stays in one spot. I had to turn off subject detection. And then if it wouldn't focus, then I would go to manual focus, and I had no problems. Of course, manual focus takes a little bit longer taking the shot, but even on the autofocus, I used the basic servo autofocus, and then I went to AI autofocus. And I wasn't too impressed with the AI. So then I went to no subject detection. And when I went to the clouds, it wouldn't focus, even with no subject detection. So I see the leaves are sharp there, but not what I was trying to get. But it was a hit and miss. But I got as close as I could with that 500 millimeters. And look how sharp these little flowers are. I mean, that's why you have the R5II. It's gorgeous. And these are JPEGs. You can even see the little webs from either the caterpillars or worms or spiders on the little plants. That's the bird bath. So I zoomed out. And I'm zooming in on that plant grass. And then, of course, the crane. And then the airplanes. And, test pilots, whatever, at Randolph Air Force Base. And you can probably see a bird flying by now and then. But they're great shots. I love this lens. And it did okay for me, okay? I even have the 200-800. So you see, I zoomed out at 100 and zoomed in at 500 millimeters. And then I started tracking what the crane was moving. And once I cleared an object, then you can start to see what I was focusing on. even if it was behind some, I don't know, pipes, to exhaust the gas or heat. But anyway, it was sharp and clear until I started getting behind some trees. But I just followed it and no missed shots. It looks clear. First few shots, I had stuff in front, but once it figured out that I was focusing on this, it just stayed sharp until I got in front of the TV antennas, on the house. And then once it passed there, then it got sharp again. And now it's being lowered down to a platform. And so the trees are obscuring that. But found a little break and it was sharp again. Now, with the dark contrast against lighter contrast, I had no problem. But when it was completely white or light contrast, then I had problems. That's when I went to manual focus. And here's my cat. And look how sharp he is. So I left the stabilization on number 3. I turned off subject detection. And you see I had a hard time focusing in the clouds. So I was thinking about it and I said, okay, I'll put it in manual focus once I got done with my pets. I did the nest in the tree. Was looking for a bird and I couldn't find him. So I kept going back to my pets. And this is with no subject detection on. And look, you can see the birds flying over a tree. Everything looks sharp. Now I started going to manual focus. And you see, I was getting the clouds the way it was looking. I think there was one shot where I was out of focus, but look at this jet. I was catching it at the end as it was going into the clouds. So you see, I had no problems with the manual focus. That one, I did have a problem, okay? But that was on me. But you see, if one doesn't work, then I go to manual focus and work on that. And these are JPEGs, folks. So anyhow. And there you have it. So you see, the pictures are sharp. I'll put it like this. I'll put it, let's find an ending picture. Something that's dramatic. That one right there, I think it was pointing to the ground. I just happened to hit the shutter button. So I wasn't pointing to anything. That's a nice shot right there. And let me use the mouse, the other mouse, to scroll like that. That's pretty good. And I'm going to leave it right there. That's too dark. Put it like half and half. How's that? Okay. Thank you for watching. Remember, stay safe, keep smiling, and I'll see you next time. Bye, folks. Have a wonderful day.